Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the Doug.Show. My name's Doug Cunnington, and today we have Shawna Newman back on the show. We're going to talk a little bit about the recent updates. And the funny thing is, Google has been rolling out so many updates over the last, couple years. This is just timely. You could be listening to this a couple years from now and it'll probably fit in pretty well. But these are the updates in September and October of 2023. We're also going to talk about maybe a little bit of a quote case study where Shawna has handwritten personally. She's handwritten some articles, and then she's also used some AI content where she didn't even proofread it. She published close to 2,000 articles and has seen really good results. A little bit of a spoiler alert there. So we'll get into it. Shawna, how's it going today?
Pretty good. Can't complain.
And for the folks that don't know you, can you give just a quick intro? And of course, you've been on the show many times, but if it's the first time someone has listened, they may not know anything about you.
Yeah, so I've been building sites full-time since 2009. My primary goal is to build sites with the intent to flip them. Although with the current marketplace, I probably won't be doing any flips until things recover, which I expect will take, maybe another year and a half.
Okay. And we'll link up to your previous episodes so people can get the backstory. We go deep into different areas. I know the last time we talked, it was just been a few weeks ago, but you have a lot of websites out there, something like 70, right?
Yes.
You actively work on maybe about half of them, and you have kind of a small team, but you're pretty hands-on. What have you seen for the recent helpful content update, which rolled out at the end of September, primarily in 2023? What have you seen personally?
I think everyone has noticed that it's more like the unhelpful content update, right? For me, I have seen what I consider to be my highest quality sites in terms of content get just decimated, being outranked by things that are multiple years old, mostly Reddit posts, when timeliness is a factor in these niches that I'm in. On the flip side, I have a bunch of sites that are all AI content. One of them I recently decided to just bulk upload Koala 3.5 articles. So that's like the lower quality from GPT-4. I did just over 1,700 of those, and the site got a 342% increase in traffic from helpful content. I haven't even read any of those articles. Someone on Twitter asked me, well, are they good AI content or bad AI content? And I was like, I have no idea. I've not even read them. So that's how helpful the update's been.
What do you make of that?
Well, I've said publicly before, I think starting back in May of 2022, things kind of went off the rail with these updates that Google does. I think they no longer really know what's going to happen when they roll them out wide in their testing environment. I assume it works the way they want. And then there's, all these people who end up as a collateral damage, who shouldn't be penalized, by the algorithm and things like that. So I think they really didn't know what was going to happen. This large scale Reddit, multiple spots on page one, outdated forums, things like that. Like I saw someone saying that for the query about renting a car in Mexico, things were ranking that were done pre-pandemic. So they are completely irrelevant now, but that's all of page one. So yeah, it's crazy.
All right. And the day that we're recording this, I'm going to try to publish this as soon as I can. Shuffling my schedule around a bit. But the day that we're recording this, Google announced they were going to roll out a new core update for October. And I wonder, it seems like maybe it's a reaction to clean things up a little bit. However, through other updates, it doesn't seem to clean much up. Yeah. So what do you think there's any correlation, or they just have a rolling schedule? They're like, it's October. Why don't we mix things up a little bit?
I think most people who've been in this industry long enough know that whenever we have any type of update, usually within about 10 to 14 days after they, announce that it's ended, there's a partial rollback. And then a few weeks ago, maybe even a week ago, I can't remember the guy's name, the new Matt Cutts. His name's like John Mueller or Mew or something like that. I don't really know, but he publicly said they never roll back updates. This helpful content clearly needs rolled back or tweaked. So they can't say, hey, we're rolling it back, or have it be obvious that they've updated it. So I think they've rushed a core update to fix all of these issues. So I think it will actually be unlike any core update we've ever seen because of that. So it will be interesting to see if they can fix all of their fuck ups or not.
Mm-hmm. And before we started recording, I was trying to do something. I had some technical issues, right? So I was switching cell phone carriers, and the details don't matter too much. No one wants to hear me complain either. But the thing is, I'm getting the AI generated answer from Google, and I'm like, this is wrong, like just generally, and it's regurgitated, and I don't know how it's, obviously no one can see the future, but I don't know how it'll play out, because some queries, it doesn't make sense to try and give me that answer when it's like actually wrong. And I'm smart enough, like many of us, we're tech savvy. I'm smart enough to know, like, hey, that's total bullshit. Like, that is not the right answer. I need to talk to someone. I was just curious if anyone else had the same problem as me, or have the same question or whatever. So I wonder how they're going to figure out what to do, because Google's trying to compete with like the AI that's out there, but it's a little bit inferior. It's not the right thing. It's not what we're searching for. So anyway, everything's bananas. Now, from your sites, you mentioned that the highest quality, the best written content seems to have been hurt pretty bad. What is your strategy to address that in the short term and maybe the long term?
In terms of content that I'm actually creating myself, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. My undergrad is in English and journalism. So I know that like content quality is subjective and everyone thinks their content is good. I feel like I'm pretty confident that, considering my background, that my content is better than average. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. I've always been really big on finding alternative traffic sources. And I feel like a lot of people are kind of coming around to that in the past few weeks. Because I know there's a guy on Twitter who has a portfolio of sites that are on Mediavine, and I wish I could remember his name. But he gets most of his traffic from his Facebook pages. And so he's like not feeling anything from this update. Of course, you don't want all of your traffic from Facebook either, because things can happen with that. But, I'm still focusing on creating the content I've always created, as well as, focusing on those other traffic sources. But I can tell you, I'm now spinning up some more sites with thousands of unchecked AI posts to see what happens.
So let's go deeper into the site that you mentioned before, the 1,700 articles. Kind of lay out the strategy when you started it, and we'll dive into some of the specifics, especially managing that sort of publishing schedule, keeping everything organized and all that.
Yeah, so I was just looking for niches, and I know we discussed this on our most recent recording, niches where the information is always consistent. It never changes, because I feel like then you don't really have to proofread as much or at all, because what's ranking on page 1 is going to be the same. If you tried that today with these fucked up results, that probably wouldn't be the case. So that was what I was focusing on. And so I was looking for a niche that had thousands of possibilities for keywords. Like, I feel like this site could probably be over 50,000 pages and still just barely be a small part of the niche. So that's what I was focusing on. So I just started with one specific cluster. And the only reason I picked the number that I picked was that just happened to be when I got tired of copying and pasting. So put all of that into Koala just with the titles, did the bulk upload, connected my site to it. Now, here was my error. So if anyone else is going to try this, once you connect your WordPress site to Koala, do a single test post to make sure it actually posts to your site. I did not do that. Instead, I just ran those like 1,730 posts, Not a single one of them uploaded because there was a problem with SiteGround for some reason, not liking the API connection from Koala. So I moved my site to a different host, and then I had to go in manually to actually publish all of those. Now, it wasn't like a huge deal. Like, it was mildly annoying, but it wasn't a huge deal because as far as I know, there's no way yet to add in a featured image with Koala. So I wanted there to be featured images to give me the opportunity to get Google discovered traffic. So I actually had my wife do the featured images and just publish them without even reading. You know, she's like a professional writer, so she's like a super perfectionist. And I was like, do not read these. They were all AI. You will go crazy. So she published them all in 2 days for me. And then things just went crazy with it when the update happened.
Okay. And it was the helpful content update. So
Yeah.
what kind of traffic was it getting before, and how old's the site? What's the timeline and all that kind of stuff?
So the site's like a year and a half old. I'd put 2 posts up on it a year and a half ago and then just promptly forgot about it. So it wasn't really getting much traffic. But, you know, it's kind of aged, it's indexed. And I was like, why the hell not, right? So we just tried it. And probably in the next 2 weeks, it will qualify as a secondary site for AdThrive based on my projections.
And you literally, neither one of you read any of the content, you just published it.
Yep. There's no telling what it says.
And what do you, have you gone back and read a little bit of it just to see like, oh, what is this? You don't even want to know.
No. I mean, it's working. So why fuck with it? I mean,
or I mean, just for your own, like,
oh yeah, no.
You don't even want to know. Okay.
It's not a topic I'm even interested in. So,
right. And yes, it's so bananas. It's a weird time. Yeah. And I wonder how this is going to shake out over the next few months.
Yeah.
Do you think Google's going to swing back and like shift things around in a serious way? Or are you just like, I don't even know what to expect anymore?
Yeah, I mean, I think we definitely don't know what to expect anymore. I think the past, year and a half has proven that if they do, swing back, it won't be full. It'll just be partial. So my actual next plan for this particular site, once I get it on AdThrive, is to go back in. It's a niche that's perfect for Pinterest. So I will focus on building up that as a secondary traffic source because this site deserves to be hit. I mean, let's be honest, right? So I fully expect that at some point it will get hit because it should. So I want to have another traffic source going to it. And then once I get, 2,000 pins scheduled and uploaded, I'll then move on to a Facebook page for that. And oddly enough, there aren't very many YouTube channels on this specific niche. So that will be my next plan of attack, just so that I can keep some traffic when the site does eventually get hit.
Any other interesting things or plans for that site before I kind of shift into another area?
No, I'm just going to hammer it with a few thousand more articles while I can.
You mentioned YouTube and sounds like an opportunity there. And I know you recently launched an agency. It's GrowthCupid, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And there's some done for you sites. There's a suite of products and we'll link up to it and all that. I think we have a discount for listeners and viewers out there. So one of the packages is, I think it's a Faceless YouTube channel. Yes. Can you talk about, what you've seen as far as results and like what you do to set up a Faceless YouTube channel?
Yeah, I feel like YouTube is the way, like you can do it without a site, but I feel like it is the best way to boost both traffic and revenue for your site that very few people are doing. And I don't know if that's because people think they have to be on camera or not, but Faceless channels, they're amazing. So you just use all stock video footage, which there are royalty-free places that you can get it. You can buy it from Pond5, Storyblocks. Free Pick Premium also has good footage that you can use. And then you just kind of edit that all together, do a voiceover. Definitely do not do an AI voiceover. Pretty much everyone who has a successful channel that started with AI voiceovers gets demonetized. The only way to get monetized again is to delete all of those AI voiceover videos. So definitely do not take that shortcut. And like the process that I do for my own sites as well as that we do at GrowthCupid is, we identify 20 different, ideas for videos because our starter package is only for 20 videos to get you started. And then, there's script writing for the video, finding the stock footage, editing that and putting it together so that, the audio actually matches what's on the screen. We create, an optimized thumbnail, description, as well as the tags. We use TubeBuddy and vidIQ for that. And then we just kind of set that all up so that you are ready to go in terms of, growing your YouTube channel as, traffic generation as well as revenue streams.
So you mentioned the AI voiceovers,
Yes.
and actually I was watching some video today and I was like, this is obviously an AI voiceover. The channel had like 1.2 million subscribers though. And I was like, this is crazy. The information was kind of okay, but I was like, I think this is probably bullshit. It was very basic, and I see a lot of that. So, and I didn't realize that YouTube demonetizes the AI voices now. So is that fairly new, or is that a...
They started that, I think it was maybe early 2022 that I started noticing it happening. And then there's people like, oh, I've had my channel for X long and I use AI and I've not gotten, demonetized. They eventually seem to catch up with everyone though. And you don't really want to be putting in all that work, building up your subscribers and stuff, because like I said, you have to delete those videos to get the monetization turned back on. So it's definitely not a shortcut to take.
Do you know if it counts if you train it on your own voice? So I use a tool called Descript, and I trained it on my own voice, and it actually does sound like me. However, only a couple people let me know that they knew it, but they said it just sounded a little too polished because there were no like breathing noises when we inhale or natural other like sounds. So they were like, it's just too clinical. So.
Yeah, like, so I don't use AI. I never have. So I've not personally had this experience. And no one who I've seen report this has actually said like what AI tools they're using. So I'm really not sure.
Gotcha. So you just have someone read it out and then that's the way to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
So if people wanted to do this on their own, is there some way that you approach the script writing, maybe the length of the videos, other details like that?
Well, I mean, if you already have an existing site, the best way to start is to use your top blog posts as ideas, because you already know that you rank for them, you already get traffic for them, you're already seen as an authority on that topic. And I always link together whenever I do that, in the description, I'll link to the video and then I'll embed that video in my blog post. So that's what I really prefer doing, especially if you have an existing site. Otherwise, you can just look for other channels in your niche where they have more views on a video than they have subscribers. And then you take that idea and make it your own and just write a script. You can outsource everything though, honestly, if you wanted to. Because like people on Fiverr even will offer script writing, services for you. There's a lot of people who aren't very good at it though, so I would be careful doing that. I'm lucky in that my wife is a screenwriter, as well as everything else she writes. So I know everyone doesn't have that advantage.
What are some of the mistakes that a poor script writer might make?
Well, there's basically like a formula, like where you want to hook someone in, and because you want to keep them watching the whole video so that you'll earn the most money, once you do get monetized. So anybody can just Google like what's the formula for a YouTube script. Anybody who wants to do it on their own. I don't remember what the three little things are called other than hook. And I think I forgot to answer one of your other questions, which was length. I'd always try to shoot for at least 8 minutes because when you do get monetized, if you want to do mid-roll ads, your video needs to be at least 8 minutes in length.
And do you run ads in your videos then?
I personally, as a user, I hate mid-roll ads, so I do not choose to do that. Although I know YouTube is making those changes. I don't know if they go into effect in November or January, where you're not going to really get say anymore on what ads are displayed. So,
got it. And for the internal linking or embedding of the video and linking to your blog post, do you actually see like an SEO lift from that? Or is that just like a best practice? I've always said to do that, but I've never actually like tested.
I do it primarily hoping to get traffic back to, the site, as well as like give myself that extra like authority boost in Google's eyes. I also always make sure to do a pinned comment with a link to my post, unless I have a really good affiliate offer that I can promote. I find that tends to work really well.
Okay, perfect. Any other tips for like a faceless YouTube channel?
Consistency. The more consistent you are with your uploading, I find the easier it is to get traction. It's also going to vary by niche in terms of if shorts work for you or not. I find across my channels, most of the time, shorts really aren't worth it for me. So I tried to really focus on more of the long form videos.
And how often would you recommend someone try to publish a video?
When you're just starting out, I would try to do it daily if you can, or at least Monday through Friday, and then kind of like work on slowing down and having regular days that you publish. Just so that as you're building your audience, they kind of get used to doing that. And I realize as I'm saying this, I have a very inactive personal YouTube channel right now. So anyone who's going to check out my channel is going to be like, what the hell is she talking about? But yeah, but for my sites, I'm definitely more regular.
That's funny. Okay, so daily up until one point, basically if you keep that up forever is probably the best thing to do.
Well, yeah, probably. I don't do that though. Usually I go around 3 months or so of doing that just to kind of get a channel going. I'm a big fan of basically getting to like 100 videos as fast as you can, which I know is a challenge, both for me as well as most people, unless you're outsourcing everything, of course. So that gives you like a lot of data to look at to see like what's really working, what's really resonating with your audience, which videos are sending traffic back to your site, which videos where you have affiliate offers linked are really converting well, so that like for your next 100 videos, what you should focus on.
I use Descript for a few things. I'll plug them. I'm an affiliate for them too, but they also have like B-roll and video and audio and sound effects. Like you could do all that stuff, plus the transcript work that it can do as well. So it's a very good tool and highly recommend it for people that are thinking of doing this kind of stuff. It's very easy to just build a video in there. So how long does it take to say, write the script, record it, and then put in the B-roll for like 1 8-minute video?
It really depends. So the fastest is if it's being based off of a blog post. What I've gotten into the habit of doing lately is just copying the post into ChatGPT and saying, take this article and turn it into a script for YouTube, and say that I'm aiming, for at least 8 minutes. It's really good at putting in timestamps that it thinks you should hit as you're recording. They're not always great, but sometimes they are. I'm also a big fan of using Powtoons, I think it's called, which is like there's like whiteboard stuff in there that you can do if you want to do whiteboard videos, animated videos, or stock footage comes included in that as well. And you can also import your own stuff. So if I'm using that as well as the blog post, I can usually get it done in a few hours. For me, the bottleneck is when I'm recording using my own voice, unless if I'm not outsourcing that, because I say a lot of and likes and things like that. And then you have to like edit all that shit out. So.
And that's where Descript would come in really handy, because it does a transcript and then you could just remove all of those and like at a click of a button. Oh. Sometimes it's a little bit clunky, but it's pretty damn good, especially if you're thinking, okay, I want to publish a video every day for 100 days or whatever. Right. Like cutting that stuff out in the click of a button is really, really nice. Even if it's not perfect, like you can still ship and get it out the door. Right. Okay. So a few hours to do one of those videos. And for AI, like another perfect use case to like take something that is pretty good and then like have it write the script. And you could probably put in like a pretty good template. Like you said, have a hook,
Mm.
have something else,
Yeah.
like put it in this format so people will stick around, and it'll give you suggestions for a title also. Like it does
Yeah.
tons of
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah. It's actually really great too, because it seems to already know that formula. So it will take your blog post and it'll give you some really great stuff in it.
Okay. How fast have you seen one of the channels get monetized or some other benchmarks?
When I'm doing what I just told everybody to do, just like a couple of months. Of course, it's going to depend on the niche. If you're trying to come out and start a get out of debt personal finance channel, it's going to take you longer, just like it would if you were starting, a personal finance blog like that. The more niche down you can go, the quicker it's going to be. My wife actually has been trying to do one of those channels that's all like calming, relaxing, like videos and things like that, because she's like, the traffic for those channels is insane. So if we can get one of these channels monetized, it'll be crazy. The competition is fiercer than she expected, though. She's been working on it since like January, and I think she only has like 200 subscribers, and she's like way low in the watch hours. But what's interesting is she started out basically trying to create videos and descriptions and titles that would attract her. And I'm like, you are not the average YouTube user. And then it took her a few months to kind of learn that there is SEO to YouTube, which I think a lot of people don't realize. So that's something for people to keep in mind too.
Mhm. And then do you offer packages to just do the YouTube starter package or anything? Have you started doing that?
Yes, the page isn't up on the website yet because our launch has been bigger than expected. So I've had like zero time to deal with stuff like that. But right now the price is $3,000 for the complete starter package with the 20 videos and everything. That is not the final price. This is still a launch pricing. So if anyone is interested in that, you have to basically get into the order form to find it right now to
Okay.
order it. So yeah.
And is that with the done for you site, or that's just the standalone?
That's a standalone,
Okay.
yes. So if you bought like the biggest done for you site, it is included at a cheaper rate than if you bought just the channel.
Okay. And that would be for people, they already have a site, you'd be able to go and like find out what their top blog posts were, and then you could
Right.
do the whole treatment that you just mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. So let's shift back to just kind of core updates and
Okay.
dealing with it, because you have this kind of big portfolio of sites. You're cash flowing. You're kind of waiting because the market is a little bit lower as far as multiples, which we'll come to that too. But you have these sites earning money. You get we get punched in the mouth here with an update. And you're continuing, right? You have the writing background. You believe that good content will come through. How do you actually deal with this on a day-to-day basis where you're working and you're like, fuck, is this even going to work? Or will it take like 9 months for this to work? Or I don't know if it'll work at all. So how are you dealing with that? Because there's a lot of other people out there with fewer sites, but a lot of people are impacted. So any advice?
Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine how the people with a single site feel who got hit, especially if they were doing everything right. I think the big problem that a lot of people have is that they actually believe, like they take at face value what the Google mouthpieces say, which isn't always reality. I know we have like a big crowd of people who are like the no link building team. And I know we've discussed this in the past. You have to build links to stay relevant in the search results. And yes, you can skate by for a while without them, but if you really want to compete and make real money, you have to do link building. So if I only had one site and it had gotten just decimated right now, like I said, I think I would be panicking a little bit. But if I knew I was doing everything right, I would do a full audit of my site just to make sure like I wasn't, deluding myself that I'd done everything right. And if I saw that I was, then I would just keep doing what I'd been doing. Historically, that has always worked out. I was doing this before they were even announcing updates and naming them. And that's always been the case. And another thing that I think people also need to check when they get hit by an update is to see what Google knows about their sites, which is you can do that site : and then you're like, nichesiteproject.com. And then when you click on those three little dots that come up for the first result there, that is just your raw domain. I think the button says more about this result. Click on that, and that will tell you what Google knows about your site. If you have good authority in Google's eyes, you will see links listed there, and those links are very telling. They tell you what Google thinks you're an authority on. So for me, for instance, for Skipblast, the links that show up for me are about flipping sites and running niche site experiments. That's the lane that Google has put me in for that particular site. So you need to see what lane Google has put you in for your site. I actually had a site that got decimated in the May 2022 update. It was a fairly broad site, but also niched down. And I had been consistently over the years telling Google by what I was publishing what the site was about. But when I did that little exercise of the site : and then the domain, they had only given me credibility for one of those things that I was publishing about. So when I removed all of the other content, the site recovered. So that's a very important exercise to take when you've gotten decimated by an update.
I should check that out. I don't think I've done that I'm just curious. I'm not going to do anything different. I don't care but I'm just curious because I wonder if I too have like sort of diluted the topical authority, that sort of thing, which I'm pretty sure I have based on what I've published over the years. There's a lot of content that I've deleted and tried to redirect or 410 or whatever is appropriate. Okay, so people can see that very easily. It's a free way to check, and then you'll get some good info. All right, and I had a couple follow-up questions, but now I can't remember them. So
people should also put in their competitors because the links that appear on that page when you do that, Google clearly identifies those as important. So any links that you see coming up for competitors that you can replicate boost the authority of your site. Okay.
So generally links important. And one thing you mentioned earlier is whatever John Miller, whatever it is. I've heard people say Miller. I don't know. I worked with someone Miller, but I don't know how you say it. John. He's like, we never roll back updates. It's like, it's okay if you make a mistake. Doesn't that show like you learn from your mistakes?
Yeah.
But they're like, no, we just try to patch it up with some gum, masking tape or something. So I'm very curious to see how it'll play out. So, okay. Links are really important. I wonder if some people that were like, hey, I'm never going to build links, if they're going to start doing something, or if they're going to throw in the towel. I've seen some people just say like, you know what? I think I'm done with this. Like I've been doing the quote right thing. I'm passionate about this topic and I've done a really good job. I take all my images, like I invest money, and they're like, traffic has dropped by a ton and it's pretty bad results. Like you said, like not subjective, like literally out of date content is now ranking ahead of them. And they're like, I'm done. Do you have some people in your community that you've bumped into? What advice have you given them?
Pretty much the same thing about checking to see what Google knows about your site. 100% of the people who have come to me have absolutely nothing showing on that page other than we don't know what this site is. There's like nothing listed for the about. All Google can tell them is how many years the site has been indexed. And that's not what you want. One guy had a site that was 9 years old. He wasn't a link builder. There was literally nothing else on the page. So,
okay, it's there was always an argument like, hey, the links will come naturally. Yeah. And the guy had the site for 9 years. It sounds like he was obviously like getting traffic and making money. But are you saying like no one basically linked to him because
he did have links. I think he was like a DR22 after 9 years though. I mean, you would expect to have a more robust backlink profile. And the thing with nothing appearing on that page means none of the sites linking to him, Google found high authority enough to give them an idea of what the site was about. So often what I see ranking on those pages are podcast interviews from very large, authority podcasts. And they're like authorities in their niche. They're not like Joe Rogan show, links or anything like that. As well as local citation links, Crunchbase, things like that show up there. So,
speaking of podcasts, which is actually a fairly good way to go about like a link building campaign
yes.
if you're able to get on podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I got a pitch, and basically a company wanted me to do an ad for them, and all they wanted was the backlink, really. Specifically, the backlink that they wanted was from iHeartRadio. So they were like, hey, we want to make sure it's going out on these platforms, specifically iHeartRadio. And I followed up. I was like, hey, like, what's the deal? How are you? Why do you care about that one? And they said, it's a do follow link from iHeartRadio.com. So that's why they wanted it.
I probably should not share this because I haven't had a chance to implement it myself yet, but I also know how much work is involved, so I know how few people will take this idea. Several months ago, I did some consulting for an alcohol rehab center. And so that exposed me to the types of link building that industry does. Creating your own podcast with the minimum number of episodes to syndicate it across all of those podcast websites has resulted in amazing things for sites in that niche. So like, I can't wait to deploy it across my sites.
Oh, wow. Do you know what the minimum number is? I've been doing my podcast for a while, but I never paid attention, but I bet it's not many because all you have to do is.
Based on what I was seeing, it seems to be around 10. I haven't done my full research into it yet, but it seems to be only around 10. Now you're obviously going to, I assume, have to have enough production quality to be accepted these places, or maybe there's no real acceptance. You would probably know better than me.
I think most of them, the last time I checked, they are based on like the iTunes, Apple podcast feed. Okay. Typically, I mean, you could submit your RSS feed to various places, but typically, if it's over on Apple, like if you were accepted into Apple, they will pick it up. Because I only I think it was like Apple, and then maybe like Google, Spotify, and then it goes everywhere else. But yeah, I mean, most people don't stick with podcasting for very long. And then, I mean, you can get good links. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it's a great thing to do if you could be a guest on podcast. And once you get a couple under your belt, you could repurpose the content. Usually it's on YouTube, you're getting in front of another audience. So if you have the chops to actually be on the show, people should definitely do it, or, start your own podcast, right?
Yeah. Or hey, maybe it'll be a future GrowthCupid service.
Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, thinking about how you basically are creating scripts, they don't have to be long shows. Yeah. They could be virtually the same as the YouTube. So that's another product idea for sure.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay. Yeah, good link building tips. Buried deep, 30 minutes into this one. Okay. Again, I got off my my train of thought here, but let's see. We're talking updates. We're talking about what we might expect and what to do. I don't know. I mean, other than thinking of the other traffic sources. So you mentioned Pinterest. Yeah. Facebook is still a good one. Do you play around with any of the short form social media, such as TikTok or Instagram or Reels? Is that a good traffic source?
I haven't done anything with any of those. I think for some niches, it's probably better to focus on those. If you have a travel blog you're trying to grow, Instagram obviously is great for that, as well as TikTok. But yeah, my focus has been Pinterest, YouTube, and Facebook pages.
Okay, cool. And for the Facebook pages or groups, do you have any tips on that? Have you had any big successes?
Yeah, I actually started talking about this last year, and I'm still doing the same thing because it's still working, which is set up a page, for your site. So let's say you have a site about puppies, right? So you create the Facebook page for your site. You start running an ad, like very simple, very generic, super broad, something like, if you like puppies, you'll love our page. So the campaign you're running is just to get people to like your page. And then you spin up, like a social media management tool like Buffer, start scheduling posts to auto post. You're obviously going to already need to have some content on your site. So you have these posts regularly auto posting to your Facebook page, your ads running. Usually I see the cost get anywhere between 2 to 6 cents per like. So there's constantly new people being fed into this ecosystem where your posts are funneling in. Ideally, the way that it's supposed to work is that you get enough clicks back to your site. So if you're running ads or affiliate offers, you make more off of that than you do spending on the ads. So that's just what I've been doing.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. And I think we'll start wrapping up here, but one thing that I get asked fairly often is like, how do you stay motivated? So you've been doing this for a while, a few years longer than me. You mentioned 2009, and that is really a long time to work in like one industry for that long, just in general. And we keep getting these kind of sucky updates as we're talking through all of them. So yeah, what keeps you going? Especially, I mean, I kind of got bored doing some of the work that we talk about, right? And I'm just like, you mentioned Buffer and scheduling stuff. And I remember when it came out and I scheduled all this stuff and I'm like, I don't like doing this specifically. So yeah, what keeps you motivated? I mean, you must get a little bored with it too.
I went through a period earlier this year where I was like, maybe I should sell all my sites and look for a new challenge. And I was like, maybe I should try something like getting into enterprise SEO or e-commerce SEO, do something completely different. I actually applied for a few jobs just to see if I could get my foot in the door and see if that was something I was interested in. I'm completely unhireable, which should have been no surprise to me. So obviously I did not get any jobs from that. That's actually why I started GrowthCupid, was to kind of like give me something fresh to do. And while it was, it is stuff that I've been doing for my site, with taking on clients, these are all niches mostly that I've never done anything in. So it is more of a challenge. And of course, I'm not doing everything myself. So it's not like I'm, taking on tons of work here. But that was actually why I started GrowthCupid, was for that reason. But for my own personal sites, I guess I'll just be like basic and say it's financial primarily, because I love to travel. I used, earnings from my sites to move to the Netherlands, and I lived there for 2 years. And I basically fucked around and did nothing but travel while I was there, just earning money from sites. And now I'm back in the U.S. Have been for a few years, but I'm intending on moving back abroad at some point in the near future, and that is still going to be funded by these sites. So for me, that is the primary goal. But I also kind of enjoy the challenge, the rules have changed of the game. How can I now adapt and make it work? So.
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense. And I know, a lot of people in our peer group, basically, like, people like the challenge and they're like, oh, we can figure out a way around these new algorithm updates or whatever nonsense we have to deal with, or Facebook changes their algorithm and what you have to do to reach your audience again, right? It's all the same kind of stuff. It's just a little different variation. And some people do indeed like the challenge. And I don't know. I think I've been like this since I was a kid, where at some point I'm just like, I'm bored with it and we have to find our way. And I kept adding like different mediums. So I'm like, I moved to podcasting and then more video. And then I just keep like doing something a little bit different. And you're going like sort of the agency area, which is cool. We all find our little paths. So I'll give you a minute to talk a little bit about GrowthCupid. We mentioned it a bit, but what could people expect if they head over there and check out the services?
Well, I started it basically, what it started out as was an idea for a better link building agency because, I need links for my sites. I've tried tons of services and they're all shit for the most part. If they're not shit, they're incredibly expensive. So I was trying to find a way to offer something that would help people grow their sites with links, but be more affordable than what the current options are. And then from there, it kind of grew into all the ways you can grow your site, from content to the YouTube channels. We also do Pinterest management. That's actually not listed on the site right now. 100 pins a month with daily scheduling of at least 3 pins. I think it's $600 right now. I'm not 100% sure. We do the done for you site. So it's a little bit of everything, based on the things that I've been doing for years with my sites that I know work, as well as doing link building the right way. Right now it's primarily guest posts and link insertions. In the future, though, it's going to expand into linkable assets, which lets you take a bit more of a digital PR type of focus, where we would create the assets and then you would do the outreach to the journalist, with our tips of how to do that. But yeah, it's the service that I wish had always existed for my sites. If someone else had created this before me, I would probably be a paying customer of theirs. So
great. You also have some courses, kind of a suite of courses. Can you, and I don't know the name of it anymore. I think, did you change the name of it? I'm not sure. But you could describe that too, and we'll link up as well in case people want to check those out.
Yeah, it's called Blogging Success Engine, and it's just bloggingsuccessengine.com. We have a monthly option, a quarterly option to sign up, as well as a yearly option. If you do the yearly option, you get a video audit, which I currently sell for $500. So it's like a little bit of a bonus that you get for that. And it's just like it includes a private forum, monthly live training, one of those a month. There's also recording to that if you miss it, as well as every course that I've created so far, which I think is like 11 or 12 courses right now, including a how to do a Faceless YouTube channel course, if someone is interested in that. So.
Okay. And you don't sell the courses piecemeal anymore. They just come as the package, right?
Well, until my Teachable subscription expires in November, people can still buy them, but it's way more expensive than buying all of them at once. So,
you may as well get the bundle and check it out. Okay, cool. So we'll link up to that. And thanks a lot, Shawna. Always fun catching up. And hopefully, we'll chat again in a few weeks, maybe, and we'll say, hey, this new Google update was really good. I'm surprised they did such a fantastic job.
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen. Are you going to air this on April Fool's Day? Is that what's happening?
Right. Yeah, that would be good. That would be good. Anyway, all right, Shawna, thanks a lot.
Thanks.